Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Roll call.
Krista? Here. Mark?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
Cheryl? Here. Oscar?
Yes, ma'am.
Has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda? Is there anything to be added to the agenda?
I so move we accept.
You said?
A second.
Thank you. Agenda is approved. Number 4 says new business. Any other new business we need to discuss at this point? Hearing none, we move on to the minutes of January 14th, 2025. Any comments, changes needed on the minutes?
I so move we accept.
Moved by Oscar and second by Krista. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Public forum, number 6. Anybody wish to address the commission on other topics other than the ones that we'll be addressing later in the meeting? Okay. I now will call item number 7A. Which is the public hearing for case number Z 2025-01, a request for rezoning to the C3 General Commercial Zoning District Base Zoning District. At this time, I'll ask if any member of the Planning Commission wish to abstain from voting on this agenda item. Let the record show that there are no abstentions. We have a quorum of 5, right? I'm used to 4. Yeah. We move down to number 3 here, ex parte communications. Planning commissioners are required to report the general nature of any verbal or written ex parte communications received prior to this meeting. However, it's not necessary to disclose the names of the parties. Does any member of the Planning Commission wish to report ex parte communications on this topic? Seeing none, let the record show that no ex parte communications have been reported. The Secretary has reported that a notice for this hearing was published in the Ark Valley News on 12/14/2023.
That is not updated.
Gotta be a typo there.
Yep.
25. Which is at least 20 days advance notice as required. The property owner and surrounding property owners were notified by letter at least 20 days prior to this hearing. Therefore, I declare that the notification requirements have been satisfied for this public hearing. I will now ask Destin Belton to present a brief case report and recommendation.
All right, thank you. Case number Z 2025-01. This piece of property here, about 300 North Oliver, north of 61st Street. The property owner is requesting a zone change from R1A single family 0 lot line residential district to C3 commercial district on a portion of property generally located 670 feet north of Kechi Road, 61st Street North, and east of Oliver. The current C3 General Commercial District will be larger in area than a previous request, see below. The subject property is 7.886 acres and is undeveloped. The zone change will apply to the east approximately 6.6 acres of the site, and west approximately 1.286 acres abutting Oliver Street abutting Oliver Street are to remain C3 General Commercial District. Within the area of the commercial district, a small art park is being proposed as a gathering spot with displays. The property is is in the plating process and will be subject to the development standards outlined for R1A single family / 0 lot line and C3 general commercial district. On May 26, 2016, the property was platted as Paramount Subdivision, Lot 1, Block 1, and Reserve A. The property is currently undeveloped. In 2023, a request Z 2023-01 to rezone the property to R2 multifamily was brought before the Planning Commission and City Council. Planning Commission recommended not approving, and City Council denied approval. Again in 2023, a request Z 2023-02 to rezone the property to R1A single family / 0 lot line residential with a portion left to be C3 was approved by both Planning Commission and City Council. To the north, we have C2 and R1, commercial buildings and the city park. South is R1 single family resident. East is R1 single family residence and C1. Just R1. To the west is R1 and C1, single family residence and undeveloped C1. Public services. Oliver Street is a 2-lane paved arterial road with open ditches. The requested zone change is in conformance with Kechi's 2040 comprehensive plan. The future development plan map from the plan depicts the subject property as appropriate for arts and business district, including both commercial and housing. This change in zoning will help support commercial buildings and public spaces for art in conformance with this objective. Based upon information prior to the public hearings, planning staff recommends that the request be approved. Provide the planning staff with a legal description of the portion of the property approved for zone change prior to the case going to council for final action, which I believe this has been met. Recommendation is based upon the following findings. 1, the properties to the north are zoned as C2 and developed with commercial businesses, and R1 single family residential district developed as a city park. Properties to the east zoned and developed as R1 single family district. Properties to the west are zoned R1 family residential district developed with single family homes and arts and business district undeveloped. Properties to the south are zoned and developed R1 single family residential district and C1 arts and business district. 2, the request of a rezoning is in conformance with Kechi's 2040 comprehensive plan as discussed in the staff report. 3, all utilities and public services are provided to the area. Staff does not anticipate a significant increase in public utilities or services. 4, the subject site is currently zoned C3 General Commercial District, which will be extended. 5, the property has been zoned as C3 General Commercial District since January 14th, 2016. Before that, the property was rezoned from C3 General Commercial District to R1A Single Family District and R2 Multifamily District since May 8, 2008. 6, staff does not anticipate that approval of the request will have significant negative impacts on the surrounding properties. The site plan shows substantial amount of buffering provided by Reserve A, which will help buffer the patio homes from abutting uses. 7, the request of a zone change is in conformance with 2040 comprehensive plan as discussed in the staff report. 8, staff do not expect negative impacts on community facilities. 9, no input, positive or negative, has been received from the public. This is the aerial map of the property. To the north is the gas car wash and the gas station. This is the zoning map showing this is an older map. It has yet to be modified, but there's a portion here that is currently C3, which is all red. R1, and then the pink here is C1. Zoning map showing that it is here down in the arts and business, which is good for housing and commercial. This is the site plan, or at least the zone change. This dotted line right here is the current C3 zone that was approved 2 years ago. little over a year ago. This new hash line right here is going to be the new C3. So you can see it's about twice as big. Legal description, commencing at the northwest corner of Lot 1, Block 1, Paramount Subdivision, Kechi, Sedgwick County, Kansas. This is the legal description for it. The rest of it is to remain R1A for housing. And some site photos, west of the subject property looking east. North, again, you can see the car wash and the gas station, and south of the subject property.
Any of the commissioners have questions for Dustin?
So they just wanna extend the commercial part of it,
Yes,
and they're still gonna put patio homes around it?
yes.
So, I know that you put the dotted line here now, where was it before?
It was the whole thing, including that reserve on the right-hand side of that map right there.
Over here?
Yeah, it was the whole, that,
The whole thing was what?
was C3.
Was C3, and now they're only wanting this part?
Oh, okay, see, I misunderstood what you were asking there. The part before is this light dotted line.
Yeah,
This guy right here.
right.
Did-
Oh, because there's a couple of dotted lines there.
Right, this, like,
This is the old dotted line.
this one right here.
This is, the darker one is the new.
Oh, okay. And why?
I believe the applicant and the engineers would be able to answer that better than I would. I'm
Okay.
assuming they've done, my understanding is that research for what kind of commercial can go in there
Mhm.
has yielded better results than anticipated, so they need a bigger area for more commercial.
And we're gonna have an opportunity to find that out.
He's here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for Dustin? Okay. Thank you. I will now ask the applicant to step to the podium, state their name and address for the record.
Jeff Engler, 5140 East 53rd Street North. When we went through and laid this out and did the zoning on it, you know, the intent was always do this, to have the ability to do the patio homes around the perimeter there and leave primarily the frontage as commercial. At that time, we didn't know exactly how it would lay out, how much commercial we'd be able to do there. After going through, architects laying out, engineers laying out, we determined that it will be larger. And I mean, I know the city and community always wanted as much commercial there as possible, so I intentionally, when we first did rezoning, went smaller than I thought we'd be, with the intent to go larger, because I figured it'd be more difficult to go back and make it smaller, so. It's just until you go through and do the layouts of the different buildings, and as of now, we're planning 3 commercial buildings up there. That can all change as we go through and, we find tenants, I mean, what I'm saying, we're going to be in more buildings, different styles of buildings, it all depends on what the tenants have planned. And if I talk about more on the planning of it, but we have plans to start construction of the first building as soon as we get all this done, all the architectural plans done, and all that stuff finished up, as soon as we can break ground. So I'm happy to answer any questions with regards to why we're doing what we're doing. We're not reducing commercial, we're increasing commercial, which is what the community always said they want as much commercial there as possible, so.
Is it a strip center?
And we have that on the plat, right now what we have is platted out for, 3 buildings, 2, kind of L-shaped buildings, retail office strip centers, and then kind of a square building, kind of 3 buildings, and then the parking lot surrounding the park is what we're doing.
Do you have a picture,
Picture.
like a little drawing?
Oh, absolutely, kind of, you sure you can pull it up on the next one?
Yeah. This is actually gonna be the next case that gets presented here.
just got this information yesterday.
No, I
And
understand.
I'm like, didn't have time to really take a look at it.
That's why we're here to answer the questions.
For the most part, this is,
I've got a hard copy I can pass around.
This one on there. This, I think, is probably what they want to see.
that's what I'm trying to find right now.
I should be able to get copies of that if they want copies. As long as it's friendly.
Scroll down a little bit. There's multiple pages there. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think it was under my email. That's, yeah, that's not it. I already opened that one. I promise we have it, but Chris is making copies.
Great.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
I assume too, even if you rezone it that way, and this is what they want, they can always completely change it. Does that make sense? So even though that's what, well, if I want this rezoned and I'm gonna build a strip center,
Mhm.
and you rezone it, I can change my mind and not build that particular strip center, correct?
That particular one, yeah. I mean, plans are always changing and things come up and it's not always gonna be 100% sure until it's done, so. I know Jeff's been working on this for a while.
Right, and we, we've had several meetings with him, right, to go through this, and, yeah, I would think that, you said, and shown us things, and I think that he would do what he says. You have so far, I don't
You want to go through making all these
think.
plans and
Right.
architectural, civil engineering costs if you didn't plan to build it,
Thank you
so.
so much. I don't think that you would do anything drastically different than what you're saying you're
No.
going to do.
Well, and, as you'll see, on that site plan there, the section closest to Oliver is already zoned C3, commercial. That rear portion, that would be now C3 commercial, that's predominantly drainage area. I mean,
Okay.
I have to
So
have,
that-
but we're required to have that, so there's not, I mean, it's like I can go build something else back there anyway, we'd have to have drainage somewhere.
Mhm.
In general, this follows almost identical to the plan we submitted before, except for
Yep.
we added another commercial building, because we thought it worked well on kind of centering around that little park area.
Right.
It's virtually about the same.
Okay, gotcha.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I will now open the public hearing. Do we have a sign-in sheet?
It's just me. Yeah, we had one.
Okay, well, if anyone wishes to do a presentation, raise your hand and
Yep.
come forward. State your name and your address. Thank you.
Get
Sure. You should be familiar with it.
Joni Harris, 109 West Chippewa Street. Commissioners, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in the public hearing tonight for case Z 2025-01. I have engaged in this rezone case from its beginning with the Planning Commission. I have held different positions and listened to the people of Kechi throughout this time regarding what is important to them, including their desire to see the Arts and Business District realized in some measure. As a resident of Kechi, I desire what's best for our community as a whole, as well as for my family. I live close to this property. Mr. Englert brought forth his initial rezone application, which was denied, and then a second with a recommendation for approval that was made January 8th, 2024 by this Planning Commission, and approved by the Kechi City Council on February 8th, 2024 with a 4-1 vote. Councilmember Paul Dwyer, who voted no, stated there wasn't enough protection for the community with the zoning plan presented at that time. At the January 8, 2024 Planning Commission hearing, Chair Richard Wolf indicated that he would prefer to see the C3 zoning changed to C1 or possibly C2. C3 was not the appropriate zoning for the commercial portion of the property. Even the proponent of the zoning change, Bob Conger, stated the zoning was not appropriate for the property. However, I brought forth to the public prior to that hearing that C1 did not allow for multi-tenant retail prior to that hearing, and that was confirmed that that was correct. And with Mr. Englert's commercial plans, obviously that didn't work to change his commercial to C1. So it was left at C3. The Planning Commission at that time did pass a motion that recommended the zoning be changed at least to a C2. No action was taken to change the zoning by the property owner thereafter. Later in 2024, this Planning Commission changed the C1 zoning to include multi-tenant retail. In the meantime, case CU-2024-03, Ramos, allow beer, wine, or liquor store in C1, located on 61st Street within the Arts and Business District, came before this Planning Commission. And on August 8, 2024, this commission recommended approval of the conditional use permit. On October 10, 2024, the Kechi City Council, after receiving significant input from the residents of Kechi, voted unanimously to deny that conditional use permit, overturning the recommendation of this Planning Commission. Not only did they deny the permit, but council members also stated strong positions of disagreement with the Commission's recommendation in the matter. Now you have a case before you that is similarly situated within the Arts and Business District, yet no protection exists for the residents surrounding the property nor the community, with residential surrounding three sides of it. I have provided a spreadsheet that you all have with Kechi's commercial zoning for ease of looking through zone C1 to C3. I have also provided the actual zoning pages from the Kechi zoning regulation document for verification that my spreadsheet is accurate. While the zoning document has not been updated to include multi-tenant retail, my spreadsheet has. In addition, I have included a copy of a portion of the minutes from 10/10/24 council meeting that relates to the zoning in the Arts and Business District regarding case CU-2024-03. C2 and C3 allow outright for liquor stores, bar, tavern, or brew pub. Many residents of Kechi have vocalized they do not desire those businesses within the heart of the Arts and Business District. However, there are other residents who would be fine with that happening. In C1, these types of stores and businesses can still operate, but they are conditional use and give the residents of Kechi a measure of protection adjacent to our residential neighborhoods and Kechi Park. Businesses of this nature would be considered on a case-by-case basis by both the Planning Commission and the Kechi City Council, giving the public opportunity to weigh in on the conditional use permit application. In addition, this development is going to be mixed use, commercial and residential with patio homes. Does the C3 zoning or even C2 make sense for such a development? As the Planning Commission, these are variables that should be weighed as you make a decision regarding the case before you. Kechi is a small town, and the advisory and governing bodies must carefully consider what is best not only for a developer, but also the community as a whole. I am thankful for Jeff Englert's willingness to engage in conversation with the public. I am not opposed to his request to expand his commercially zoned areas in this application. I am opposed to the Planning Commission recommending the expansion with a C3 zoning. This is the Planning Commission's last opportunity to truly make this zoning right for the property, for the Arts and Business District, and for our community. If the zoning is to remain as presented, I seek a recommendation of denial. I strongly urge the Commission and the applicant to change the zoning to C1 before moving ahead with a recommendation of approval to the City Council. Thank you. Any questions, clarification? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishes to make a public statement on this case?
I was just gonna ask her what she wants there. If there's something particular that, as far as the zoning goes, or how he can use that property, is there something in particular?
That's it. That's what I shared. I'm asking for it to be changed to C1. That's why I gave you all the zoning, what's allowed within C1, C2, C3.
Basically, if he's got C3, he can put in there whatever he wants, and you don't have to worry about it.
C1's the only one that offers conditional use for business types.
For the conditional use, what do we have to do for that?
You just come here and talk.
It's a hearing just like this.
Okay.
A case comes here, and then approval or denial by planning commission
Uh-huh.
is then presented to city council, and city council has final say.
Right. Cause there's a lot of these that really, you know, you'd have people that were like questioning, you know, they're kinda iffy on some of these. Not just the bar,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
But as a businessman, he would like to have C3, then he don't have to worry about
Right.
jumping through hoops and doing all that stuff. If he does it at C1, he's kinda handcuffed because
Right.
you gotta bring your people in here and explain to them, and will they come or won't they come? You gotta take a gamble on that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But then we lose all of our power to keep some of the stuff out of there that we don't want. So it's
you're
a catch
from,
22.
you're from here.
Yeah.
So, Patricia's adult store comes to you and says, hey, I wanna set up a store in Kechi.
Not gonna do it. I wouldn't do it in any property, I won't put it that way. And one big problem is if you have these conditional uses, like nail salon, hair salon are conditional uses there. If I have a tenant that's interested in a space and we have to go through a 2-3 month conditional use process, they're going somewhere else. I mean, that tenants are not gonna wait around when they're looking
Right.
over the spot to do that.
Absolutely not, right?
And I mean, obviously I've worked pretty hard to come up with something that every community wants. And what I'm doing is I'm expanding the commercial that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the feeling of now trying to downzone me and handcuff me more when it was all C3 before that. I understand the concerns, but it's just handcuffing me more and more. When we already have C3 there.
And really,
I
you
just-
just need it for the parking and the drainage.
Yeah, and I'm not even positive I'd have to have that. I mean, you maybe only keep that zoning just for, when it's just used for drainage. I mean,
Well, I
so,
was saying, the small part, when you develop that, you have to have so many parking spots per building per tenant,
mhm,
like a restaurant. If you see X amount of people, you have to have enough parking. And your drainage, you need to have your, if it's required,
Mhm.
that takes up more property.
yeah,
So it's not necessarily saying that you wanna make anything bigger, it's just, you're gonna need more land to
it comes required with what you're developing,
Yeah.
so yeah, unfortunately.
So
I
what
hate
you
using
put
language
up the,
language.
to begin with, apparently just wasn't big enough, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we just didn't know exactly how it would lay out yet. We didn't know where the drainage would actually be at until we laid it all out.
But it was zoned, all of it was zoned prior to the.
It was all zone C3.
Which you could have done that. all.
I could have went and built Priscilla's mega store over there already with that current zoning. And the reason we didn't want to move forward with all C3 zoning is we weren't confident you could build a full retail development there or C3 zoning there. And we didn't want to go build any other kind of development. So we had to have a safety net, a buffer of being able to do some form of that single family there. So we were downgrading ourselves from C3 to the patio home zoning.
Mhm. Okay. So, so what about, we've talked about, you know, we're bringing in, Mochas, right? Isn't it Mochas that we're bringing in?
Moxie Junction.
Oh, Moxie Junction, I'm sorry. And so, you know, kind of what others are, what others are you kind of thinking about?
We've been talking to a handful of different type of tenants. We have an office use that we should have signed up there, a small office. We've talked to hair, floral. We had a kind of a performing dance art studio. Things like that. Those have been the main ones that we've had interest to that. Well, we've talked to that had interest in this place. So.
Okay, all right.
Then it's build to suit, probably.
Well, the way it works out is we have to, per our loan, we have to have 50% pre-lease before we can build any of the buildings. Moxie Junction, the other tenant, the other office tenant, that gets us over 50% on the 6,000 square foot building. So we'll start that as soon as we have enough to build. I don't know if we build a 3,000 square foot building, but next or 9,000 square foot building, probably 3,000. We were almost doing both at once because we thought we had another tenant, but they went somewhere else. So,
What is Moxie?
coffee shop.
Yeah,
Uh,
bakery, and they're gonna have a bakery.
Thanks for asking
Yeah.
that. It's a coffee shop?
Coffee shop bakery, yeah. They currently have a location in Mays, and the owner actually lives right over at 53rd and Oliver too.
Is that like the drive-through coffee shop?
You see a drive-through on that 6,000 square foot building. That's why we put that drive-through there for them, yeah.
Kinda like Starbucks.
What's that?
Kinda like Starbucks.
Better than. Yeah, the bakery's really good.
Am I gonna be able to get my truck and trailer into?
That may be a little bit of
You may have to park and
You
go
see that
on.
turn there? That's gonna be tight. We've been trying to figure out how to make that one work.
And that's how that gonna affect the traffic on Oliver, since it's only one lane going this way and one lane going that.
Let's see, is it,
The only reason why I ask is we own, commercial property in Valley,
Mm-hmm.
so we own the whole frontage off of Ford.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to put a stoplight there, or if, I don't know if they have or have not yet, but because people are going to be going to that side of the property, and then like you're doing patio homes, there's rental property back there. So to accommodate that, they had to make the road bigger and put a,
I don't foresee that, but I think we've got plenty of space there. Obviously, we meet the codes for it. And if the Moxie Junction here is anything like the one in Mays, there's more people sitting down there than there is drive-through.
oh, I wasn't talking just the drive-through. I was
Oh,
talking
okay, I'm
about
sorry. I thought you were
the-
referring to space like that drive-through backing up.
No, just the big, tenants and businesses as a whole, that's all.
are we allowed to ask questions to people? Okay.
Any more comments to the applicant?
Thank you.
Are there any final public comment to be made by the public on this case?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
okay, thank you. So, Joni. What are, so for C3 zoning, what other concerns, as far as the actual zoning, what other concerns do you have for that particular zoning?
Well, this commission has talked about that C3 is not appropriate for that property. It was designed that way, it was zoned that way for an wedding event center that never came to be.
Right.
And part of when the decision was made is that they just needed to change the zoning to get C3 off of the whole property. But Richard Wolf was very adamant during that time that the zoning should be changed, but unfortunately C1 didn't exist for multi-tenant retail. And that was a catch in what was happening. And so it just moved forward. So there's just a lot of businesses that are offered in C3 that really are not appropriate for the arts and business district, and even in C2. So, and that's why I included the minutes from what the council stated regarding the CU 2024-03 case, the conditional use permit for the liquor store on 61st. Right. They were very, very specific and strong language about why those types of businesses didn't belong in the arts and business district. Now that doesn't mean that one couldn't come up. So we're not originally from Kansas. So it's like in Seattle, you'd have like a wine boutique shop that offered art classes. So, I mean, I think a scaled down version, there could be, like a full blown liquor store. People were like, yeah, we don't want that at all. And so this is the problem with C1. It's like trying to find a balance. It's like the people of Kechi, I feel like there's no protection over what can come into C3 or even a C2 compared to having the opportunity, like they did with the other case, that there was the ability to speak into that. And because C3 and C2, things are just allowed outright. You can't say anything. You can bring in anything. And that's part of with zoning. It's like you can have a conversation with the developer and they're like, oh, no, we're going to do this or this. But they can do anything that they want. If you choose to leave it at C2 or C3, there's no guarantee permanently for the residents. I mean, if Jeff was to sell it at some point, C3 is still sitting on that property then forever, and the next owner could do whatever they wanted to with it. So for me, that's why I'm requesting that C1 to be considered, and I know it's a hassle, that there's a protection left for residents regarding this commercial development, because residential's right there. Patio homes are going to be right there. Would you want to buy a patio home that potentially a liquor store or a bar could go into that development? I wouldn't be happy paying $300,000 and then something happens. There's no guarantees other than if there's some protection from a C1 zoning put into place that gives opportunity for advisory boards and governing boards to say yes or no, and for the public to give input. That's my concern.
Homes for sale or for rent?
They're for sale.
For sale, yeah. But then I'm looking at, like, a veterinary clinic for house pets, you can't put that in a C1. It's just some of these.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that doesn't make sense to me. You can't put a medical, you can put a medical office in there, but you can't put a medical clinic in a C1.
Those are decisions that the planning commission makes on what's allowed and not allowed in different zoning.
That's crazy.
So.
So when you do zoning like this, say he does sell it 10 years down the road, can we rezone it?
No.
Stays with it.
And the request isn't to change it to another zoning classification, it's just to expand it or change the existing R1A to the C3 because that zone is changing. We can't initiate that zone change unless the city approves it, and I believe city council has to approve that they want to initiate that zone change.
Okay.
This developer, like Jeff, he has plans for a drive-through that's dependent on it being C3. A drive-through is not allowed in C1 at all.
Okay.
And if that goes to C1, we're just stomping all over his plans and his investment, and we're not gonna see the city grow. I understand the concerns that citizens have, I get that, but Jeff is also a resident of Kechi.
Bel
He
Air.
wants to see it be in a
Yeah,
better
Bel Air.
place.
Bel Air.
Bel Air, I apologize.
Technically, no.
You're really close, really close.
Just wanna make sure the minutes are correct.
So it was all zone C3 to begin with.
Yes,
So a developer would know if it was zone C3, you can't go back. You can go down, but you can't go back.
you can go back if you initiate.
If you try, yeah.
Yeah,
But C3, in Kechi is the highest zoning, which means.
for
you can-
commercial, yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you can do whatever you want. But if you change that, you know that you're knocking yourself down to C1.
Well, saying that there's no more public input, I hereby close the public hearing, and we move to the planning commission's deliberations and a final vote as to what to do with this particular, case. I open it up for the commissioners to discuss, their conclusions.
But what we're voting on right now is just the movement of the
Right.
lines.
Yeah, so we're,
Correct?
yeah, so we're just,
Say it again.
But I think we've kinda got ahead of ourselves.
Right.
What we're voting on is just the movement of the line.
Yeah,
right,
yes, sir.
So I guess the frontage doesn't change, it just goes back deeper.
okay.
The end. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And he has to accommodate if he makes the building bigger for parking and stuff like that too. So maybe that's just why he may need, cause he can do whatever he wants to the frontage anyway
Correct.
and not ask for permission. So maybe he's just needing more space. To me, the frontage would be more important anyway, cause that's visible, that's right off the road. We can't tell him what to do with that. It's already zoned
Correct.
C3.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's what we're voting.
Absolutely, it's this right here,
Yes,
To go
this
back.
dotted line.
right here.
This is where it's at now. He just wants to move it back.
That's what it looks like to me. Can you put that up there again, Justin?
Which one?
The map that
Yeah.
shows what we're voting on.
I can zoom in a little bit more if you need me to, or is that, okay. So to reemphasize, the current zoning right now is about this. But we're looking to make it that.
Yes.
So, if the existing, area there to the west is already C3,
Yes,
that means that, a developer could bring in anything under C3. The liquor store,
Priscilla's Mega Store,
you
yes.
know, I mean, the whole works.
Yep.
I understand that it makes a lot more sense to have that entire lot all one, zone, C3 or C2 or C1. So having a one, That way you don't have confusion either, in future development. It just makes more sense to make it all C3.
But that's not what
Well, we're approving for the entire area of this lot, where number one is
yes.
C3.
Yes,
C3 already exists.
yes.
On the
On the
left
front
side,
part.
On the
the
front.
west side.
Could he have left it all C3 and still did the patio homes?
He can,
He has to do part of the residential get R1,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he went all of it from C3 to all of it to R1? At one point in time?
He went from, all of C3 to part C3
Mhm.
and R1A.
Okay. That's what we're seeing right now. That's
Yeah,
what he did,
Right.
okay.
yeah. So. So like this right here would be the C3. And these lots
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
around here is the R1A.
gotcha.
Okay.
I'll give you guys a couple more minutes to consider your thoughts, and then I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, any other thoughts about anything? I mean, all we're doing is tying somebody's hands. I mean, it's gonna be developed regardless, the frontages. And again, sometimes when you do plat stuff out, there's not enough room, cause when you go through all the drainage and all the things you have to do with like Baughman and all that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, not that he spent a lot of money, cause he has, but if he needs more ground to do what he needs to do with the frontage, he already owns it. And I think we're tying somebody's hands to do something. He can already do what he wants anyway, on the frontage, which that's probably the most important.
Well, I think that as a community, that, you know, we're putting a lot of, you know, a trust into him, right? That, you know, and putting a lot of faith in that, you know, he's going to put some good people in there, and that we're gonna have some good businesses in there, and that they will represent Kechi in a, you know, positive light.
If I say something, I have to read that whole thing, so I don't wanna, you do it. feelings, but I get it's the art district and stuff, but
It is we do have a master plan already written up, right? That does help guide us as far as what we put in there.
yeah.
So,
You ready?
I'm ready whenever
Okay.
anybody is.
I move that the planning commission adopt the findings and recommendations stated in the zoning administrator's report for case Z 2025-01 and forward a recommendation of approval to the governing body regarding the request rezoning to C3 commercial zoning district.
Oscar's made a motion to approve the zoning administrator's recommendation. Do you want to hear a second?
A second.
Did I listen?
she said
Oh, you did. Tristan, thank you.
Yeah.
So the hearing aids are not working all that
It's
great.
okay, I'm way over here. I second.
So we have a second by Krista. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I,
All those opposed? Same signal. Motion's carried. Next we go to item number 9A, a final plat for S/G 2025-01 at 254 North Oliver, Turtle Creek Addition. This is agenda item 9A, the public hearing. Is this a public hearing, Dustin?
No, but yes, I'm still trying to work that out with the city attorney, Andrew. Basically for a plat, we accept the dedications. I'm just using the old, conditional use, procedural outline
Okay.
for ease. There's obviously no public notices needed. Platting is a right of the property owner. So we're just going through it to make sure that things look appropriate, things have been discussed, and dedications are there and whatnot.
We'll just kind of go along here. It's a public meeting, so, and we can have some discussion if we need to have it.
Okay.
It's called flexibility. Shoot,
Okay.
move, and communicate. That's what we're gonna do here. So I'm just gonna quickly ask, is there any need for abstentions by any of the members of the commission?
No.
No. Any ex parte communication regarding this case? No. Dustin, if you'll please present a brief case report and recommendation.
Okay. Said property is right here, what we've been discussing from the zoning case, just south of the park or the gas station. The checklist for the final plat went through, it's gonna be Turtle Creek. Preliminary plat conditions have been met, the content of the plat, date, controlling physical features, angles and lineal distances, and monuments. Location and elevation, angular 7, side lot lines at right angles, consecutive lot numbers, location of existing easements, widths of new street right-of-ways, 12, the name of each street, including prefixes. There's gonna be a small edit to that. When we get down to it, I'll discuss that. 13, building setback lines, parcels dedicated or reserved for public or private uses, minimum pad elevations, marginal lines encircling the sheet, certificates as follows, all of them. And then title report, final drainage plan if required, still debating on whether that one's there or not, or if we need it. Restrictive covenants proposed, if any, not applicable. Final plat for a small tract, not applicable. Let's go down to the map, showing the property again, zoning map, showing the location, and the plat itself. We had PEC look at the plat. We discussed it with the engineers the other day, and corrections have been made for this updated final plat. You can see the residential lots down here on the bottom, consecutive order, same along here on the east side and the north side. And then this square right here would be the commercial area, as discussed. Right now, the developer wants to have the streets as a private drive, privately owned. Quivira Street is the requested name for the northern street that runs east and west. The south street here, the developer is wanting to name it Turtle Creek, and have it wrap around up here to Quivira, so both sides would be named Turtle Creek. Again, the legal description, and come down here to the right-of-way exhibit. They are proposing a, let me make sure I've got this right, a 40-foot right-of-way for the road itself. 60 is what is typical right-of-way for the regulations. They are asking for a 40-foot right-of-way. I believe Josh or Kurt could expand better on that than I can.
What's the fire department say about that?
I have not heard back yet. And I have not heard back from Evergy. I've actually heard back from Evergy. They're a tough cookie to crack to get information from of the right of way. I plan to have all of those answered before it goes to city council though. And then the zoning map from before. But I believe, Kirk, have you ever had an issue with fire department on a 40-foot road right away? Okay.
They want 24 feet of pavement.
Okay. Any questions for me?
So is it 15-foot building setback and 0 lot line, or 5 foot? What's the lot line? Or does it matter?
Are you talking for the
The patio homes?
for the patio homes? Yes, 15-foot building setback and 10-foot in the rear and on the sides.
Okay.
Anything else for Dustin? Thank you.
Thank you.
Does the applicant wish to address the commission on this particular case?
Kirk Miller, Kechi Miller Engineering, I'm the agent. As you can see, we're platting this right of way basically, and we're platting setbacks on either side. So we know how much land we've got to work with. And when you look at the site plan you got with the zoning, you can see the reason we're setting setbacks where we are. It's different because you've got commercial on one side and you've got residential on the other. And on the setbacks on the residential, you've got the 15-foot, for the, it's a buildings, you have a garage setback of 20 feet and a 15 setback for the building, which is what your codes require. They don't want the garage being at that 15 feet. So we're showing the easements, you know, we're gonna run utilities through here. Sanitary will be along here, along the back of those, it's kinda hard to see, but sanitary runs along the back, you've already got some sanitary back there. Water will be out in the front, so we've platted easements and setbacks along here to run the water, because of the tighter right of way, we're 31 foot
31 foot back to back.
31 foot back to back on the pavement. We met with Dustin, we met with PEC and kind of hashed everything out between us and got out the regs and everything else and tried to figure out exactly what would make this work and what we needed to do. And this is what we came up with as far as the layout and the setbacks and all that. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody in the public wish to address? Go ahead.
Jenny Harris, 109 West Chippewa Street. I just have a couple questions. In other cases that you have been considering in the last month, like Kechi Square Shops, they were told they had to have a 60-foot setback. Card had to have 60 feet. The Artisan Lake shops have to have a 60-foot setback. So I guess the question I'm asking is, how come there's a different standard for this development than the other properties that are all in the same area that have been told they have to have 60-foot setbacks? And then my second question to you is, does the sidewalk still exist that we currently have along Oliver that's, you can walk all the way up and down? That's a huge thing for residents, is that we have sidewalk. So those are my two questions. That'd be great if you guys could discuss it and find out. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the setback from the Oliver to the commercial property?
You want me to address it?
Yeah, from
Okay.
Oliver to the commercial
Right,
property.
from Oliver to the commercial property, we have shown on that site plan, that parking takes up 60 feet, and then that building's even further back from that, so we're, I don't know, 70, 80 feet, somewhere like that setback. And if 60 is the setback, then we're well past that, because it's the building setback, it's not a parking setback or anything like that. And the sidewalk on Oliver is out in the right of way, so it's gonna stay there, we'll have to put drives through it, but, you know, and then we'll modify it however we need to,
Protruding
but
any further than anybody else. Actually, you're set back further.
we're
Correct.
set back further than, if it's a 60-foot requirement, set back further than that, yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we now move to the planning commission deliberation and vote.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said.
Yeah.
Is it one or two?
It's one.
We're doing one now
I'm
and.
doing 2501 right now.
Right. It is it one or two?
Oh,
Is it-
number one.
You wanna do that?
Yeah, I can say the shorter one. I move that the planning commission adopt the findings and recommendations stated in the zoning administrator's report for case number SD 2025 one and forward a recommendation of approval to the governing body regarding the requested conditional use to one-step final plat in the C1 Arts and Business District.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Krista, seconded by Oscar. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. And we move on to item number 10A. Item 10A, the case for SD 2024-02, a request for a one-step final plat in the C1 Arts and Business District.
Mark, this one was the one that was addressed last month that was tabled until today.
Right.
Okay, just, so, I mean, you don't have to go through that whole spiel again or anything unless you want to, but just giving you a heads up that
Okay.
we're just
Thank you.
reopening this
Appreciate
one.
it. I thought we'd,
Refresh our memory a little bit here.
yeah.
This one, we went through, everything looked fine. Richard proposed that we table it, for reasons for the plat. There were corrections that needed to be made, and they weren't updated at that time. They came in today, so I threw them onto the plat, or into the report as quickly as possible for today. They needed a setback line here, utility easement in the rear as well. There were a couple modifications within the wording at a couple places, and I believe there was a benchmark that needed to be thrown on here as well, for when you're finding out the property and everything else. Benchmark 2, I believe. Is that right? Yeah. Benchmark 1 is up here. So, but we did go through it. Get rid of that. Oh, goodness. And again, fire department and Evergy, tough cookies to crack. These were the amendments. Those amendments are as follows: easement for existing sanitary sewer, updated lot areas, post additional 30 feet street dedication showing 10-foot front building setback line from additional 30-foot right-of-way dedication, dedicate additional 30-foot right-of-way. City attorney's certificate was not required, that can be removed. Update lot size, post, additional 30 right-of-way dedication that indicate benchmark locations on the face of the plat. Which, all of those have been corrected on here in their various spots.
What were they gonna put in there?
This is Von Rhodes area. I believe he's wanting to do, multi-tenant strip centers, maybe like a horseshoe look in there. And just a simple shopping center is what is my understanding of it. And it is zoned to C1.
Huh?
I said, I'm trying to figure out where this.
It's right across the
Across the
street
street.
from,
Yeah, it's right
From the
across.
other one.
Mhm.
from the other one
Oh,
we just
that's a
did.
pretty, okay,
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I drive
Yeah.
by it 4
Or
times
the
a day.
loom, you know, the guy that's
Yep,
the
yep.
loom.
Yeah, it's these 3 lots right here.
Yep.
I have a question, and it's off of this subject.
I'll try to answer.
They about to get that done.
Yeah, man.
I don't wanna bring up a sore foot, I just was kinda
I think
wondering
they
how
had a
long
meeting
they were
today,
thinking.
didn't
They had a meeting about it. I would call Thomas if I were you. to-
No, I just
No,
was
no,
asking.
It
Is it gonna be a while?
probably
Okay, that's all.
is
I
my
need.
understanding. Don't quote me 100%
No,
on that.
I didn't wanna, sorry,
Oh, I know. I'm tired of going the long way around to the highway too.
You don't cut through there?
no, can you?
Yeah.
No.
No, you
No.
can't.
No.
Not legally, but.
It's just gonna take
It's just a
longer
pain, I gotta
and
bring
longer
Mary's
for people
every
to
morning,
continue
it's
to do
easier
that.
to go down the hall.
The police chief was in here complaining about it the other day at the city council meeting that people are cutting through.
Oh, yeah,
the-
I had to-
yeah.
they're gonna put police officers there and give you tickets.
I haven't even tried that, but.
Seriously.
Okay, I tried it one time, it worked, I'm sorry.
They have a camera.
No, it's gonna take a while for that to get done.
They have a camera up to catch you and they'll find
Get
you.
your meeting back together, Dustin.
Sorry, I didn't do that, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's on, it's
Yeah.
on record.
It became a big deal. It's all been live streamed, guys.
My address is 47.
Oh
that,
my
chief?
goodness.
I'm gonna give you my ticket, I'm sorry.
Keep more.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Oh, that right there was worth coming tonight.
Oh, boy.
It got confusing once.
It was a confusion, wasn't it? It really was a confusion.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
should've kept it on.
Thank you, sir. Is this something that we need to discuss on this final plat?
Yes.
I mean, does anybody have any
Thank you.
questions?
Let's just vote. I think it looks great.
That's what I'm saying. Do we have any questions, or do we go ahead and vote?
If you knock it out, I'll say.
Yeah, okay. Let's say we got, here it is, right here. I move that the planning commission adopt the findings and recommendations stated in the zoning administrator's report for case number SD 2024-02 and forward a recommendation of approval to the governing body regarding the requested conditional use to one-step final plat in the C1 Arts and Business District.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Cheryl, seconded by Oscar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. No opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
So before I open my mouth again, I said,
Call me.
we adjourn.
Yeah.
Second. Did not know
Adjourn.
that was gonna bring up.
Turn it off.
Adjourn. Third
The
grade.
end.
Oh, we done?
Got one going to jail.